I had been out that night with a buddy of mine. A couple of guys came up and got me from behind.
Imagine building an empire, brick by greasy brick, only to watch it crack under the weight of hidden truths and broken promises. Richard Rawlings, the king of Gas Monkey Garage, lived that dream. But what if the very people and deals he trusted most were the ones who stabbed him in the back? For years, the cameras showed us one story. Now, the real drama comes out. Get ready, because Richard Rawlings is finally pulling back the curtain on the 4 biggest betrayals that almost tore his world apart. Aaron Kaufman's Breaking Point. The story of Richard Rawlings and Gas Monkey Garage is one of big dreams and even bigger engines. Richard was born in Fort Worth, Texas in 1969, and his love for cars started when he was just a little boy. He spent his childhood going to auto shows with his father, learning about cars from a very young age. He bought his very first car, a green 1974 Mercury Comet, when he was only 14 years old, long before most kids even thought about driving. By the time he was a senior in high school, he had already owned 3 cars, including a cool 1977 Bandit Trans Am. Richard always worked hard, taking on many different jobs just to support his car habit. Before he even turned 21, he had worked as a firefighter, a police officer, and even a paramedic. His dedication to cars was so strong that in the early 1990s, he even took a bullet while fighting off a carjacker who was trying to steal his prized 1965 Mustang 2+2 Fastback. In 1999, Richard decided to start his own printing and advertising business called Lincoln Press. But his heart was always with cars. So, in 2004, he made a big move. He sold Lincoln Press to put all his energy and money into his true dream, Gas Monkey Garage. Gas Monkey Garage officially opened its doors in Dallas in 2002, specializing in customizing classic cars and hot rods for customers all over the world. The garage quickly became known for its unique builds and bold style. This fame caught the attention of the Discovery Channel, leading to the creation of the hit reality show Fast and Loud, which first aired in 2012. The show brought Richard and his garage into millions of homes, making them household names. The show truly took off with the arrival of Aaron Kaufman, who quickly became known as the Bearded Wonder. Richard Rawlings first met Aaron at a local garage in Dallas. Richard immediately saw Aaron's incredible talent for taking cars apart and putting them back together, making them better than before. Richard did not waste any time in inviting Aaron to join the Gas Monkey Garage team. Aaron became the lead mechanic and a huge fan favorite from the very first day of the show. Aaron was a key part of building the Gas Monkey team and helped the garage become famous all over the world. His skills were truly the backbone of many of the garage's most impressive builds. Together, Richard and Aaron were a powerful duo. Richard was the loud, fast-talking showman, always ready to make a deal and bring in new projects. Aaron was the quiet, brilliant mechanic who could make almost any car dream come true, turning rusty old metal into gleaming works of art. They would travel across the United States, searching for old, beat-up or forgotten cars in scrapyards, garages, and fields. Then they would bring these vehicles back to life, creating unique custom builds that amazed viewers. In the very first season of Fast and Loud, Aaron, Richard, and another team member, Casey Mathieu, pushed themselves to unbelievable limits. They worked incredibly long hours, sometimes up to 110 hours a week, on top of another 14 hours of commuting. They managed to build 12 cars in just 24 weeks, turning scrap into showpieces. This was a feat that had never been done before or since. Aaron even fell asleep inside the cars he was working on while the cameras were rolling, showing just how much physical and mental effort went into each project. The intense pressure and tight deadlines were a constant part of their lives, especially in those early days of the show. Even with all the on-screen success and the roaring engines, things behind the cameras were not always smooth. Aaron Kaufman began to feel that the strict demands of the TV show were holding him back from doing his best work. The show needed projects that could be finished quickly, within a limited time and budget, to fit the fast pace of television. But Aaron had bigger plans. He wanted to build more complex, challenging cars that needed more time and skill to do right. For example, he wanted to work on cars that were much bigger and more difficult than what the show usually allowed, like the EcoBoosted De Tomaso Pantera mentioned in one instance. This was not just a simple disagreement about car styles. It was a deep conflict between what Aaron, as a true craftsman and artist, wanted to create and what the TV show as a business needed to produce for ratings. Aaron described it as personal and professional differences of opinion. He felt he had reached a tipping point where the kind of cars he truly wanted to build were too difficult or too big to be done for TV in the time allowed. This meant that the very thing that brought them fame, reality TV, was now stopping Aaron from doing his best work. He felt constrained by the limited build opportunities and saw a clear fork in front of me, knowing he had to choose a different path. The constant pressure of tight deadlines and the need to deliver cars every few weeks for the show became too much for Aaron. He wanted to get things back to a more normal timeline, building at his own pace. This showed that the demands of the show were slowly pushing away the very talent that made it special. In 2017, Aaron Kaufman made a big decision. He left Gas Monkey Garage and Fast and Loud. Richard Rawlings later said that Aaron's departure was not my decision and came completely out of left field. This statement from Richard seemed to suggest he was surprised by the finality of Aaron's choice, even though Aaron had spoken about their growing differences. This difference in how they spoke about the split hinted that Richard might have been trying to control the public story, perhaps to make it seem like the garage was still strong and stable and that the departure was unexpected rather than a long-brewing conflict. Fans were truly shocked by Aaron's exit. Many worried that Fast and Loud's days were numbered without its popular lead mechanic, the Bearded Wonder. Aaron's leaving certainly took a toll on the show, leading to many rumors about what really happened behind the scenes. But for Aaron, it was a brave choice. He decided to walk away to follow his own dreams, choosing integrity over income, passion over popularity. He chose to slow down and focus on true craftsmanship. After leaving Gas Monkey and Fast and Loud, Aaron started his own shop called ArcLight Fabrication in Dallas, Texas. Here, he could finally build the bigger, more complex projects he always wanted, specializing in parts for Ford F-100 pickup trucks. He even launched new TV shows like Shifting Gears with Aaron Kaufman and Aaron Needs a Job, where he could work on challenging car builds and explore different automotive projects without the same strict TV limits that had held him back before. This allowed him to focus on maximizing performance and testing vehicles in harsh conditions, truly pushing the boundaries of car building. While Richard admitted it would be a painstaking process without Aaron's talents, he also publicly stated that Gas Monkey Garage was a team effort, not just about one or two people. This was a way to reassure fans that the garage would continue to thrive even after such a big loss. Interestingly, Aaron later clarified that he did not have personal issues with Richard, and they are said to be still friends to this day. This suggests that the departure was less about personal bad blood and more about the TV system itself, making it impossible for a true artist to stay and create the way he wanted. The show's need for fast, simple flips had, in a way, pushed away its most skilled mechanic, marking the first major shift in the Gas Monkey empire. Tom Smith and Jordan Butler's shocking dismissal. The departure of Aaron Kaufman was a huge shakeup for Gas Monkey Garage, but it was not the only time Richard Rawlings found himself facing a difficult split with his crew. The garage was about to see another dramatic exit, one that would lead to a surprising new rivalry. Gas Monkey Garage was always a busy and lively place, filled with a colorful crew of mechanics and workers. Among them, Tom Smith and Jordan Butler were two of the most well-known and liked monkeys, a nickname given to the employees. They were popular faces on the show, bringing their own energy to the garage. Richard Rawlings, as the owner and the main star of the show, had a very strong personality and clear ideas about how things should be run. His way of doing things often led to drama, both when the cameras were rolling and when they were not. It was a known fact that if an employee had a big disagreement or a fallout with Richard, they often ended up leaving the garage. This created a tense atmosphere where loyalty and following Richard's lead were very important. Fans of Fast and Loud surely remember the episode where Tom and Jordan were suddenly fired from the garage and the show. On television, the reason given was that they were showing up late and their work performance was not good enough. This was the story the audience was told. However, reports from TMZ, a celebrity news site, told a very different story. The real reason, it was said, was much more dramatic and involved a valuable car. Tom and Jordan had allowed a fan to take a photo near Richard's precious Rolls-Royce without getting permission first. This was a big mistake, as Richard was very protective of his high-end cars. When a manager scolded them for this, Tom and Jordan reportedly told the manager to chill the Fenchun out. This defiant and disrespectful response did not sit well with the management or Richard. It was a direct challenge to authority. As a result, they were fired just a few hours later. Tom Smith later looked back on this moment and said that getting fired from Gas Monkey was the best thing that ever happened to me. This surprising statement, coming from someone who was supposedly betrayed and dismissed, hinted at a deeper story. It suggested that the firing, while dramatic, might have actually opened new and better doors for them, rather than being a career-ending setback. What happened next was even more surprising and revealed a calculated move. After being fired from Gas Monkey Garage, Tom Smith and Jordan Butler quickly became important members of a brand new spin-off TV series called Misfit Garage. The idea behind Misfit Garage was to show that a group of misfits could build high-quality custom cars, just like the guys at Gas Monkey Garage, proving that money and a famous boss were not everything. This quick transition from being fired to starring in a rival show made many people wonder if the firing itself was real. It was widely rumored that the whole event was actually planned, a staged drama designed to help Tom and Jordan leave and start Misfit Garage, or simply to create a lot of buzz and attention for both shows. This suggested a deliberate act to create an illusion of conflict for entertainment. The real betrayal here was against the audience, who were led to believe in a genuine workplace fallout when it was largely a clever business strategy to expand the TV universe and keep viewers hooked on new drama. The most surprising part of this rivalry was Richard Rawlings' hidden role. He was not just the former boss of Tom and Jordan, he was actually an executive producer of Misfit Garage. On top of that, he was also the landlord of their new shop, Fired Up Garage, which was featured on Misfit Garage. This meant that Richard had a lot of control over the rival show, including which cars were featured and how much money was spent on projects. The public saw a feud between two garages, but behind the scenes, Richard was pulling many of the strings. This showed his shrewd business sense, turning a supposed conflict into a profitable expansion of his brand's presence on television. He used the drama to his advantage, making the betrayal a strategic play rather than a genuine falling out. Later, in 2014, Jordan Butler decided to leave Misfit Garage. He reportedly did not want to move to a new shop or work with a new partner. The barroom battles. From the drama of the garage floor and the surprising spin-off, Richard Rawlings' ambition stretched even further, leading him into the world of bars and restaurants. But this new venture would bring a fresh set of problems, proving that expanding an empire is not always a smooth ride and can lead to its own forms of betrayal. Richard Rawlings, known for his sharp business sense and constant drive, always aimed to make the Gas Monkey brand bigger than just custom cars. He saw opportunities beyond the garage, wanting to build a full Gas Monkey empire. In September 2013, he opened Gas Monkey Bar and Grill in Northwest Dallas, a large place designed for live music and food. This was quickly followed by a second location at Dallas-Fort Worth International Airport in March 2014. These were big steps into a new industry, showing Richard's confidence in his brand's appeal. His expansion did not stop there. In October 2014, Gas Monkey Live, a venue mainly for live music, opened its doors. Richard also tried other restaurant ideas like Richard Rawlings' Garage in Harker Heights, Texas, which opened in 2016. To further spread the Gas Monkey name, he even licensed the brand for a line of energy drinks in 2019. These moves showed his big vision for a Gas Monkey empire that went far beyond car restoration, aiming to turn his popular brand into a lifestyle. However, these new ventures quickly faced serious problems and controversies that began to chip away at the Gas Monkey name and its reputation. One major issue came to light with a lawsuit against Gas Monkey Bar and Grill. Richard claimed that in early 2019, the bar partnered with a whiskey brand and promoted it on social media, linking it to the Gas Monkey name, all without his approval. He argued that this partnership did not fit his brand image, which he had carefully built. This was a direct challenge to his control over the brand's direction. Adding to the trouble, Richard also claimed that the bar hosted lewd events. He alleged that these inappropriate events went against the family-friendly brand he had worked so hard to build, making Gas Monkey look bad and breaking the rules of their original agreement. This suggested a significant loss of control over the brand's image as it expanded into new areas. The brand was, in a way, being betrayed by the very partners meant to grow it, who seemingly did not respect its core values. Even before these issues, in 2015, Gas Monkey Bar and Grill was caught in a sting operation by the Texas Alcoholic Beverage Commission. It was one of 5 bars busted for selling cheap liquor at the price of top-shelf brands. The bar received a written warning for this deceptive practice. This incident, along with the later claims of lewd events and unauthorized partnerships, painted a picture of a brand struggling to maintain its integrity and quality control as it ventured into unfamiliar territory. The betrayal here was the business itself, failing to uphold the standards Richard aimed for and damaging the Gas Monkey name in the process. The problems at the bar escalated when Richard claimed they also owed him unpaid licensing fees for using his famous brand name. He said they had stopped making these payments even before he ended their agreement, making him feel like the investors were getting a free ride off his fame, while he got nothing back. This breakdown in financial trust led Richard to sue Gas Monkey Bar and Grill for $1 million. By August 2019, both sides reached a settlement, and the lawsuit was dismissed, though the details of the agreement were kept private. After this legal fight, Gas Monkey Bar and Grill changed its name to Amplified Live in 2021, removing all Gas Monkey branding and shifting its focus entirely to music and food. Richard also stepped away from the restaurant business, closing Gas Monkey Live in 2020. His other restaurant, Richard Rawlings' Garage, also closed its doors for good in March 2019. Even newer ventures faced similar struggles. Gas Monkey Sturgis, a venture launched in 2024, received very bad reviews from locals who rated it dead last among restaurants there, complaining about cold burgers and terrible service. These repeated failures in the hospitality sector showed that Richard's business growth, while ambitious, was not always well managed or successful. The financial and reputational damage from these ventures became a significant challenge, forcing him to pull back from a part of his empire that was supposed to be a source of strength, but instead became a source of trouble. Why Fast and Loud really ended. Just when it seemed Richard Rawlings had faced every kind of challenge, from losing his top mechanic to battling his own business partners, the biggest one was yet to come. The very platform that made him a global star was about to become his greatest obstacle, leading to the ultimate decision that changed everything. Despite all the fame and money, Richard Rawlings began to feel like he was stuck in a rut with Discovery. He later revealed the true reasons why Fast and Loud came to an end during an interview on the Joe Rogan Experience podcast in December 2020. The biggest problem was a very strict rule in his contract. If he said anything negative about the Discovery Channel, he could be fined up to $25,000 for each bad comment. This was a heavy financial penalty that severely limited his ability to speak freely. This rule meant Richard could not have complete creative freedom to speak his mind, even when he wanted to start his own automotive podcast. It was a golden cage where the network's control over his public statements became a major restriction on his personal and professional expression. He was also signed to an exclusive deal with Discovery, which stopped him from making deals with other TV studios or starting new projects outside their network. This meant that even if he had a great idea for a new show or business venture, he could not pursue it if it conflicted with his Discovery contract. Richard and his team wanted to do much more with the show and expand their brand, but Discovery's rules kept them tightly limited. This showed a deeper struggle over who truly owned his public image and business ventures outside the show itself. The network, in a way, held his entire career hostage, creating a situation where he felt his own brand was being controlled by others. Feeling trapped by these strict rules and the lack of freedom, Richard Rawlings made a bold and difficult choice. He decided to leave the Discovery Channel. This brave decision directly led to the cancellation of Fast and Loud, a show that was still very popular at the time. He chose to become a free agent to get back full creative control over his brand and his future projects. This was a massive gamble, walking away from a guaranteed hit show for the unknown. This move allowed him to put all his energy into his own YouTube channel, Gas Monkey Garage, which has since grown into a massive success in the world of automotive entertainment. He could now create content exactly how he wanted, without network interference. He also launched his own podcast, Monkey Trap, giving him a platform where he could speak freely without fear of fines or restrictions. This was Richard's way of reclaiming ownership of his brand and his voice, even if it meant walking away from a huge TV show. The decision was a clear statement that his freedom was more important than the constraints of television fame. Even after leaving Discovery and gaining his freedom, Richard found that the shadow of Fast and Loud followed him everywhere. Every interview he did seemed to come back to questions about the show, and any new business he started was always compared to his past TV success. He realized that his fame from television had typecast him, making it hard for people to see him as anything other than the Fast and Loud star, which made it difficult to build new trust and success in different areas. Despite these challenges, Richard continues to be very active with Gas Monkey Garage. He has even sold parts of his huge car collection to invest in new, more valuable cars, showing his ongoing passion for the automotive world. His journey shows that even when you break free from a major network, the public's perception, shaped by years of TV, can be a lasting force. The betrayal by the network's restrictive contract forced him to make a hard choice, but it also pushed him to forge a new path where he could truly be his own boss, on his own terms. Richard Rawlings built an empire on grit and gasoline, but his journey was filled with hidden battles. From the creative clashes with his top mechanic, Aaron Kaufman, who sought a different path for his craft, to the staged drama of Tom and Jordan's exit, which was a clever business move, and the messy failures of his bar ventures, Richard faced challenges that tested his brand and his spirit. But the biggest betrayal came from the very network that made him a star, where strict contracts forced him to choose freedom over fame.